Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Joppy Noodle Legs here today, and welcome to the first movie in Creature Feature Week. Now I've been putting this off for a while because so many people have been saying to me, "Oh, when are you going to do the creature features and stuff?" There's so many awesome ones. So I think a lot of the time is I just don't know where to start. So I thought I would do it this week anyway and do the first sort of three. I can probably do another creature features week two a bit further down the line. But the first one we're looking at tonight is it's Tarantula. I thought we'd have a look at this one tonight. This came out in the sort of heyday of the creature feature films in the sort of 50s and 60s. They were each other film was pretty much a creature feature film, and this one is no exception. It starts off in like the sort of desert area, and we see this kind of like sort of barren sort of desert, and there's absolutely no life there or anything, just sort of like, you know, tumbleweeds and stuff like that. And then we see in the distance, we see a guy sort of stumbling, sort of walking through this sort of like desert, looking absolutely lost and struggling to walk. And then he sort of falls over, and he sort of like, we see him, and he looks all sort of like a right monster, like a creature. Anyway, he falls over and dies, and that's how the film starts. We didn't cut to an aeroplane coming and our doctor arriving. Now, I believe he lives there. He's obviously been away on some trip. But he's arrived, and he goes to his offices and stuff like that. And while he's in his sort of like office, one of the guys work there says that the sheriff wants to talk to you. So he speaks to the sheriff on the phone, and the sheriff says, "I want to see you straight away," sort of thing. He goes, "It's something sort of like happened, and I want your opinion." So he agrees to meet up with him. So he sets on his way to meet the sheriff. So he goes to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff tells him about they found a body in the desert, and then he's telling him about he thinks, you know, and it's really sort of deformed and looks strange like a creature, and they think it could be there's a professor in the town. I think it could have been one of his sort of work colleagues. Anyway, so they go to the mortuary, and the doctor has a little look. He has a little look at this but he has a look at this body, and he's sort of like shocked by it. We don't get to see it, although we've already seen it in the desert. I don't know why they were covering that up. But yeah, he looks a bit shocked by it, and he thinks could have wanted to be one of the professor's colleagues. But the way that he looks is like some sort of illness, disease, is progressed so quick that he thinks it can't be him, because he saw him like a month ago and he looked normal. Then the professor turns up and arrives at the mortuary, and he has a little look at the body, and he says, "Yeah, it's definitely his colleague." And we can see the doctor looks quite shocked about it, thinking, "Well, how can it be the colleague?" And then there's sort of like some jibber jabber goes on between the police officer, the professor, and the doctor. And the professor says it's really difficult watching someone you work close to getting ill and dying. Anyway, so then the professor goes off on his business, and it's left the doctor and the police officer sort of like scratching their heads, thinking, you know, what's happened. We then cut to a large house where this is where the professor lives, and he's got his like laboratory there. So he sort of goes into his house, and he goes into his laboratory where he does all his tests and experiments. He seems to test on animals, and he's sort of like got this sort of gene medicine to make them grow quick. I think his plan was to make these sort of animals grow quick, so, you know, for sort of like farming and things like this. And we can see there's a giant sort of like guinea pig and a giant mouse behind him. as he's looking at all the sort of tests that he'd been doing. And then we cut to him again a bit further along into his laboratory, and we see he's looking at a tarantula. And then behind him, we see another tarantula, which is like absolutely ginormous in this sort of like tank. And then he gets a monkey out of his cage, and he's just about to inject him with this sort of serum. But then, as he was about to do that, another sort of mutated person comes in. Obviously, another one that experiments have gone wrong. He's come in, and he looks all sort of like agitated and aggressive towards the professor. So he makes his way over to him and sort of like tries to attack him, saying, "You're not going to do this anymore." And he sort of like swings a chair at him, which misses, and it hits the glass tank which the tarantula's in. Anyway, then the fight sort of breaks out between the professor and this guy, this mutated sort of guy, and we see the tarantula crawling out of its tank. And so the fight sort of takes over the whole sort of like laboratory, and they're all over the place with it. And we see the tarantula crawling out of the door and into the wild, so he's escaped. And then we see the mutated guy. He then injects the serum into the professor, and he then sort of like collapses and dies. Not the professor, the guy that's attacking him. He sort of collapses and dies. So the professor's now been injected with this serum, and our tarantula has got loose. A bit later on the line, we see our love interest turning up in her car. This is going to be the love interest of the Doctor. So this is the sort of like, because all these films have got to have a love interest in it. It's what sells the film. So that they sort of getting to know each other and stuff, and then the tarantula sort of grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and it starts attacking the locals and killing them and stuff like this. It's one of those sort of like really strange sort of but cool monster creature features. And that's all I'm going to tell you. So are they going to catch this tarantula, or is it going to go to such enormous proportions that they can't stop it? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of tarantula? Yeah, it's a really cool creature feature. It's probably one of my favourites, just because I love tarantulas. I think they're amazing, and I love anything with them in. So this is really, really cool. And this edition comes with a really sort of cool poster, which is awesome. Really, really cool. Look at the tarantula. Look at the eyes. Look. It's so far, you know. I don't find a lot of people says, "Oh, it's bad for the tarantulas. It makes them look fearsome and bad." It doesn't. It's just a fun movie. You know, people did all that with Jaws. It's bad for sharks. Is it? It's just a movie, you know. As long as you know, if anything, it makes people respect the animal more. I don't know. I know a lot of people already have fears of spiders and arachnids, but it's like, and if you do have a fear, it's going to play on you, and so you probably wouldn't watch it anyway. So, just for a nice 50s creature feature movie, it's amazing. It's such a cool film. The pluses of this edition, it's got an amazing transfer. It's 2 discs, and it comes with the movie and a disc of extra features. Absolutely fantastic. The acting's pretty cool for the time. You know, it's really cool. All these sort of films are so similar, like this and War of the Worlds, How to Make a Monster, It Came from Beneath the Sea, Incredible Shrinking Man. All these amazing sort of creature features that came out, and they're all quite similar. They all sort of build up a little bit slowly, and then it all sort of kicks off, and there's a love interest. You do get to see quite a lot of the tarantula in this one, so that's quite cool, because a lot of them you don't get to see much of the monsters, do you? But yeah, in this you do get to see quite a lot of it, so that's really, really cool. Negatives? No, there isn't any. It's just a fun sort of creature feature film. So I'm going to score this wrong film, an excellent watch and give it an 8 out of 10. It's such a cool creature feature. Really, really good. Definitely worth watching if you're into your sort of like B movies, sort of creature features. It's up there for one of my favourites anyway. Tarantula, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you thought of it. It's just a good fun movie, not to be taken serious. It doesn't harm the tarantula as a species. People either like them or don't like them anyway. They're just one of those animals like snakes. People are always in two minds about them. Some like them, some don't. And that's the same with spiders, so you're not going to change that. So I don't think it harms that at all, and I just think it's such a good film. It's quite gripping, and you want to see what happens. I mean, I'm rooting for the spider, of course. Um, you know what I'm like. I always root for the bad guy if I can. But yeah, it's really cool, and the fact is they shot some sort of like blown up film proportions of a natural tarantula. That's really, really cool. It doesn't see, it's not like one on strings or nothing like that. So that's brilliant. Really good film. So that's the first of my creature features on this week's Creature Feature Week. I will be doing a couple more. I'm going to try and stick around the 50s ones, and then we'll do another creature feature week a bit later, and we maybe go to a different decade like the 70s or something like that. So we'll see. Check out some horror channels, guys, before my next video. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, The Man v Film, Morris Designs, Pizzlewell, I Am the Ice Lord, Sarah of Horror, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.